Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
It is 4 years since the government began its rollout of universal credit, a new system which would combine all benefits into one payment, which the government argued would bring fairness and simplicity. Today, the Citizens Advice Bureau is calling for the rollout to be put on hold until problems with it are fixed. They say a survey of 800 people who have contacted saying that they've had problems have had to wait. A third of the people that they've spoken to have had to wait more than 6 weeks for any money to come through. More than half had to borrow money while waiting for their first payment. Well, in our audience debate before the election in May, the Conservative MP Dominic Raab referenced those problems when he admitted some people are using food banks while waiting for money to come through.
In terms of the food bank issue, and I've studied the Trussell Trust data, what they tend to find is the typical user of a food bank is not someone that's languishing in poverty, it's someone who has a cash flow problem episodically. No, it's true. Well, that is what the Trussell Trust data says.
It's not what they say, John.
It is.
I go to food banks all the time.
Sorry, can I finish the point?
Outraged by you saying
no,
that.
they wouldn't.
Outraged.
And what we've done, because a lot of people on low and middle incomes are feeling the pinch, is we've taken 4 million of the lowest paid out of income tax altogether. The average basic rate taxpayer keeps £1,000 each year more than they did in 2010, and we've introduced the national living wage, and we're trying to make sure we've got the economy that creates the jobs and the wages and make sure people keep more of the money they keep.
OK, well, that was Dominic Raab. We can speak now to Neil Coyle, Labour MP for Bermondsey and Old Southwark, who's also a member of the Work and Pensions Committee. His constituency is one of the areas where the scheme is being rolled out at the moment. We're also joined by Maria Amos, who is in Liverpool. She was waiting 6 weeks for universal credit payments to come through. And David Swan is in Bristol. He had incorrect universal credit payments for the last 12 months. Well, thank you all very much for joining us. Let's come straight to you, Maria. You had to wait 6 weeks for the payment. Tell us what happened.
Oh, hello. Yes, I had to wait 6 weeks. I come out of work and I had to go back to sign on. I was told there was a week's grace, which I didn't understand. And then it was like 6 weeks before I got any money at all. I live on my own and I literally had no money, had no gas, no electric, no food. It affected my mental health, it affected my weight. It was just the wait for it. I just didn't understand why I had to wait so long.
So how did you manage in that time? We were just hearing Dominic Raab say people have been having to use food banks while waiting for money to come through. What did you do?
Well, I, believe it or not, I went so low and so down that I just wanted to end my life. But a friend rang me an ambulance and I was taken to Arrow Park. There I was introduced to doctors who were helping me, put me on tablets and everything for me to cope. Then I was introduced to the food banks, to use the food bank. My local church helped me also. And in those 6 weeks, when you were at rock bottom because you weren't getting any money, were you having any conversations with people trying to I mean, what was being done to try to sort it out from your perspective of having to chase, and also were you getting anything from the people who were in a position to rectify it? I got absolutely no help at all off anyone. I didn't know where to turn. I literally had nothing for 6 weeks. I mean, I lost so much weight. I went down to under 6 stone. I had nothing to eat, nothing. All I had was water from my tap, literally. But the people that I was introduced to that slowly helped me was like for the Trussell Trust, the food banks, slowly but surely, you know.
But I mean, sorry, calls through to the service to try to get the payments installed. What was your communication there?
Well, there was no communication. I was just told there was nothing they could do, and I just had to wait. I tried to explain my situation to them, but I was just told there was nothing they could do. I just had to wait until I was sorted out, which was 6 weeks, which is a long time.
David,
what was your situation? You were fighting, what, for over a year?
Yes, they made a mistake with my universal credit right from the start. Whilst I was waiting for universal credit, I had an overlap payment of employment support allowance with the benefit I was on before. And when I had my first universal credit payment in July, they took £526 off me, which was the amount of ESA that I'd had. And then the next month they tried to take it again. And then the next month again, and the next month again, and the next month again. And every month I've had to get on that phone and fight to get my money back, fight to get somebody to listen to what I'm telling them, because these operators are just working on scripts, and they can do nothing apart from email other members of the UC team.
So what was your financial situation then during that period of time? Was it kind of being put right each time but then being reset effectively, or were you just getting into deeper problems financially?
Yeah, they would refund me the money usually within 24 hours, which wasn't such a problem. But my worry every month was that it would take longer than that. I have direct debits that are quite a considerable amount now that we have to pay rent ourselves out of universal credit. So the money I was left wouldn't have met my direct debits, and that was causing me strain and stress. And you know, I didn't know if the money would be in my bank on time to meet these debits, which caused me a lot of stress.
Neil, these are obviously, you know, people are having difficulty. Clearly, we've got two here, and Citizens Advice says it's come across many more. The Department for Work and Pensions says, in response to the sort of big picture and what the Citizens Advice Group is saying, is that the evidence that they've been looking at is based on a group of self-selecting people. It's not representative of the 500,000 people claiming universal credit. They say 82% of universal credit customers have reported that they are satisfied or very satisfied with the service. Do you think this is a relatively small number of people?
No, absolutely not. And we shouldn't forget that when universal credit was devised by Ian Duncan Smith and voted for by the coalition, it was designed to cut support. It was designed to change the payment system to a delayed approach. Maria got her payment within 6 weeks. Actually, that's faster than average. The average that the Department for Work and Pensions talk about is 9 weeks, and in Southwark it's 12 weeks for many of the people who, in that test area, in Southwark, where we've had, in theory, extra support wrapping around people to try and support them through the change in the systems, we've seen delays of 12 weeks and
so
arrears.
So why do you think these delays are so long?
It's partly a deliberate system to pay 4 weeks in arrears rather than up front, which of course isn't what most people need. And there's a great
hang on, so that 4 weeks in arrears, but you're saying that in some situations it'll take 12 weeks.
And of course, if you're renting privately or with many housing associations, that will automatically trigger your eviction notification because you're not paying your rent on time.
But so what I'm wondering, is it teething problems with a system? That, I mean, obviously the 4 weeks is going to be built in to the system, isn't it, if it's a system in arrears? But the intention with the introduction, the government says, was to simplify the benefits system. I mean, it replaces 6 means-tested benefits and tax credits with 1 benefit. And the idea ultimately is that this then can be balanced more easily with when somebody starts work. So in the end, is it a system that is a good one if it works properly?
It was designed, and no one would object to simplifying the system, but it was also designed to knock out some of the additional support that many disabled people absolutely need. So severe disability allowance completely disappears under universal credit. And when I was working in Disability Alliance and worked with Citizens Advice and the Children's Society, disabled people, children of disabled parents, you know, disabled people in work were all designed to lose out under universal credit. And to put some context to what's happening in Southwark, where there has been extra wraparound support, there's a great local housing organisation called the Leather Market. It's a mutual. it provides extra support to the people who live in its homes. And the average of people who aren't on universal credit, they're actually in credit in their accounts by about £10 each. Of the 80 plus who are on universal credit, the average arrears are already £730. This is a deliberate system to push some people into these difficulties. It was wholly designed to put more pressure on individuals.
So, Maria, where are you now then with your financial situation and how the benefit is working for you? Because obviously you had the issues at the beginning. Has it settled now, and how does it compare with what things were like before for you?
Well, I now receive £52 a week off them. That's all I'm entitled to, because I got into debt with council tax. They take that out of my money anyway, so I'm only £52 a week is what they give me to live on. But I've been accepted for PIP, and now I'm PIP, which does help quite a lot.
And are you getting less money overall than you were before? How does it compare with what you were getting before?
Well, I've always worked, you see. This is like the first time with the universal credit, but I literally get £52 a week off them. That's still what I get now. But I do get my PIP, but I only get £52 a week off them.
And David, how does it compare now with where you were before?
This system is, in my view, is terrible. I am disabled. I've got multiple sclerosis and I'm in a wheelchair. And this universal credit has cost me nearly £200 a month worse off than what I was before.
How are you making up the shortfall?
I'm not, we're just living more frugally than what we were before. I'm married, you know, so we make our money stretch and last, and I need extra bits of money for care that the council won't pay for, and I'm really struggling to get that care that I need.
So what are the changes you've had to make as a result of that drop of £200 a month?
We had a household cleaner come in and help my wife with cleaning and help her do certain chores for me, and now we can't afford to do that. So it's all on my wife, who's now working very hard to cover the costs of the extra care that I need.
Within the Work and Pensions Committee, Neil, how much is this being looked at? Do you think there is a prospect of it changing? I mean, it's, you know, it's on a rollout programme from, what is it, October? It's going to be rolled out much more quickly.
So in the last Parliament, the committee did look at this and some of the problems that you've heard more about this morning. And there are some ways to try and protect people from falling into arrears and the debt. But, I mean, as I say, it isn't a coincidence that food bank use, poverty and homelessness have risen in line with the rollout of welfare policies of the coalition. But one of the solutions that the committee was pointing out, that under universal credit there are this thing called advance payment agreements that can be made for people so the money is paid quicker and sometimes paid directly to landlords rather than to individuals, where, for example, if you have a severe learning disability and you can't manage that money yourself, it might be more appropriate to go direct to landlord. But the problem seems to be the Department for Work and Pensions doesn't want to use those agreements in as many cases as warrant it, so they're sitting on those agreements rather than rolling them out and advertising them.
Just a quick thought on council tax, because that's been an issue for Maria, and we've talked about it on the programme before, whether councils should be taking council tax when people on benefits have effectively had to get into debt with their council tax because of benefits not coming through.
Well, I'm sympathetic to councils that have lost, like mine, that have lost 40% of their central government funding, but each council will have a different kind of system for hardship funds and other or discretionary housing payments to try and support people through. It might be a temporary period out of work rather than a permanent period out of work, for example, so some councils will have discretionary support available.
OK, thank you all very much. Neil, David and Maria, thank you.
Thank you.